This crown-wearing girl is a top dancer of a major theater in Russia. With her graceful figure, she has countless wealthy and powerful admirers every day. But this girl named Dominika only focuses on dancing. Because her mother's leg is ill, Dominika is forced to maintain her peak career status to get free physical therapy and housing provided by the theater. However, life is not always smooth sailing. While Dominika was dancing on stage as usual, her nightmare struck. Her leg was accidentally stepped on and broken by her dance partner. When Dominika woke up, she was in a hospital bed. Her leg was held together by metal pins, indicating she had just undergone surgery. Dominika understood that her dancing career was over. 3 months later, Dominika was discharged from the hospital, and she could walk on her own. When she returned home, she found a man in the house, her Uncle Ivan, who came to visit them. Uncle Ivan was the deputy director of the intelligence agency, and due to his busy work, he rarely visited them. When Dominika made tea for Ivan, he offered to help her with work and left a document behind. After Ivan left, Dominika returned to her room to look at the document. She found a tape recorder and a stack of photos. The tape recorder contained a conversation between her male dance partner and another female dancer. It turned out that another female dancer coveted Dominika's position and had seduced her dance partner to plan the leg breaking to steal her position. Dominika, in anger, ran to the theater and found the couple in the bathroom. She then attacked them with a stick. Dominika then panicked and ran out of the theater, calling an ambulance as she feared causing fatalities. After that, she returned home and found her mother in pain on the floor. It turned out that the conservatory had stopped paying, so the nanny who always took care of her mother no longer came to work. To take care of her mother and stay in the city, Dominika decided to find her Uncle Ivan to see if there were any opportunities. But Ivan, being a cunning man in the Russian intelligence agency, didn't help anyone for free. Even if it was his own niece, she had to do him a favor first. Ivan told Dominika to go to a big hotel at 9 o'clock on Friday night, take a bath, put on a pre-prepared dress, and sit in the most eye-catching position in the bar lobby to attract the attention of the tycoon Dmitry. Start a conversation with him and go to the hotel room together. Take advantage of his inattention to swap his phone. But unexpectedly, Dmitry was very rough with her. Just as he was about to do something inappropriate, an assassin wearing a helmet appeared behind him and strangled Dmitry with a wire. Dominika was terrified and could only obediently follow the assassin's instructions. He used a silenced gun to shoot the door lock and led Dominika down to the garage. After dealing with the bodyguard, he took Dominika to a secret room in the hotel on a motorcycle. The assassin took off his helmet, revealing his true face. At this moment, Ivan also entered the room. Ivan seemed to have turned into a different person, cold and ruthless. He said that because Dominika had seen the assassin in action and his face, she only had 2 choices. One was to be sent for professional training and become a Russian spy. The other was to lose her life right now. Obviously, Dominika could only choose the first option. Before going to training, she went home to say goodbye to her mother, who only gave her one important piece of advice. With this Uncle Ivan, you must protect yourself and not block all your escape routes. The car that picked up Dominika drove on a snow-covered highway. She knew that after this trip, her life would change, and she could never go back. Dominika was taken to a harsh, cold land, the secret military school number 4 of Russia in Siberia. The female instructor who greeted her first gave her a copy of the school's rules. Under no circumstances should she reveal her real name or any other personal information. In the school, all students were called Sparrows, and they were all young men and women sent from all over the country. One of the main lessons was how to find the opponent's weaknesses and exploit them. After the female instructor finished speaking, she called Dominika and another male student to the front and told them to strip naked in front of the whole class. Dominika looked at the female instructor in disbelief, but the female instructor told her that from the moment they were born, their bodies belonged to the country, and to repay the country, they had to forget their dignity and morals. In addition to learning to forget her dignity, Dominika also learned all kinds of skills such as shooting, lock-picking, and tracking. Just like her Uncle Ivan said, Dominika seemed to be born a good seed for espionage. Every subject was excellent, but because she was always outstanding, she made others envious and jealous. One day, while Dominika was taking a shower, a naked male student suddenly pushed her against the wall. This person had been dissatisfied with Dominika for a long time and wanted to conquer her by despicable means. But Dominika couldn't be easily conquered. She grabbed the steel squeegee and knocked him down. This incident led to the headmaster calling Dominika into his office, but strangely, he didn't blame her for hitting her classmate. But the female instructor didn't let it go. In class, she called Dominika up and then called the male student she defeated. She told Dominika to give him what he really wanted. The opponent told Dominika to turn around, but she refused. She directly took off all her clothes in front of him. Seeing Dominika being so frank, he lost his desire to possess her, put on his pants, and left like a loser. In fact, Dominika had seen that what this guy wanted was power. The headmaster felt that this student had mastered the art of reading other people's minds, so he let her graduate and sent her back to Russia. As soon as Dominika returned home, Ivan's phone call came. Dominika then went to a restaurant to meet Ivan. He gave her her first mission. A few months ago, Nash, a CIA spy in the US, secretly met his informant in a park in Russia to exchange intelligence. At that moment, a police patrol car passed by. Seeing the informant being stopped by the police car, Nash directly pulled out his pistol and fired several shots to attract the attention of the police. Thanks to this, he rescued the informant. Nash ran straight to the US embassy and was safe. Nash then returned to the US for a while, but now the Russian security agency has discovered that he is in Budapest, Europe. To find out who his informant was, Ivan decided to send Dominika to approach Nash. Dominika didn't want to be a spy, but Ivan promised that if she completed this mission, he would set her free. Having no other choice, Dominika had to go to Budapest. She was arranged to stay in the building of the Russian Security Bureau. Her roommate was a senior spy named Marta. Having worked here for many years, Marta reminded Dominika that the station chief here was a lecherous old man. When meeting him, she should pay attention. As expected, Marta was right. He saw Dominika, and his eyes lit up, looking for opportunities to get close to her. But Dominika didn't care about these lecherous guys. She learned from the information in the documents that Nash liked to swim every day, so she secretly followed him from the swimming pool all day. In the evening, she dyed her hair blonde. The next day, she registered for a card at that swimming pool. When filling in personal information, Dominika hesitated for a while and finally tore up the registration form with a fake name. She then wrote her real name, which was equivalent to revealing her true identity to the opponent. Dominika, wearing a sexy swimsuit, walked past Nash, deliberately attracting his attention. And when she left the swimming pool, Nash called her back. Unexpectedly, Nash had noticed her presence since yesterday. He also recognized that she had dyed her hair. This showed that he knew Dominika was deliberately approaching him. Hearing this, Dominika got on the bus with a slightly tense mood, but when the bus left, she smiled. The next day, Dominika went to the swimming pool as usual. But Nash was nowhere to be seen today. When she returned the key, the staff couldn't find her information form. It turned out that her registration form had been stolen by Nash, who had investigated Dominika's real information. He then reported it to his superiors, who learned that she used to be a dancer and, more importantly, that she was the granddaughter of the deputy director of the Russian security agency. Moreover, Nash felt that this woman used her real name, which must have hidden motives. Many reasons made him decide to see if he could win this woman over. The next day, at an international wine reception, Nash met Dominika again, and they knew each other's identities. They started talking without any restraint. Nash made it clear that he wanted to be friends with her, so they agreed to have dinner together the next day. That night, Dominika returned home and found that Marta was not in the room. So she secretly searched the room and finally found an oil paper bag in the gap in the corner of the wall. Inside were many intimate photos of Marta and an American woman. A diary mentioned that this woman was the chief of staff of the U.S. Senate. At this moment, Dominika heard the sound of the door opening as Marta returned. She still took the time to flip through a few more pages of the diary, discovering that Marta was about to conduct a $250,000 intelligence deal with this person in London. When Marta entered, Dominika came out of her room. Marta gave her a piece of paper, which turned out to be Dominika refusing the station chief's request to go to bed with him. So this petty man had directly snitched to the Russian security agency that Dominika had made no progress. So the next night, she didn't go to dinner with Nash as promised, but chose to secretly follow Nash home. Knowing his residence, Dominika decided to go directly to his face to get closer. She squeezed out a few fake tears and pressed the doorbell of Nash's house. She started to pretend to be pitiful, slowly approaching Nash to seduce him with her beauty. But unexpectedly, Nash didn't take the bait. He even told Dominika to think carefully about what she really wanted. For the first time, she tasted the feeling of failure when she couldn't grasp the psychology of others, and she could only ask Nash to meet again the next day. But the next day, Dominika waited at the swimming pool for a long time, but Nash didn't show up. Having no other choice, she had to go to Nash's house again. She used her superb lock-picking skills to open Nash's room. She searched the house, but found nothing useful. Just as she was about to leave, she accidentally saw 2 glasses of wine from the night before still on the table, and she took the glass with Nash's fingerprints. Returning, she was surprised to see Ivan had arrived. This was the result of the station chief's snitching. Due to the fact that Dominika had made no progress with Nash and had not obtained any useful information, she told Ivan about Marta's upcoming $250,000 deal with the Americans in a panic. At the same time, she lied that this was something she and Marta were doing together, and she wanted Ivan to give her $250,000 first. Ivan understood that this intelligence could be important, so he temporarily let Dominika go. When he was about to leave, Ivan remembered that he had forgotten to take his coat. Dominika took the initiative to get it for him, and she accidentally found Ivan's passport and quickly memorized the number on it. After seeing Ivan off, she turned around and saw Marta holding a gun in front of her. It turned out that their conversation had been overheard. Marta questioned Dominika why she wanted to take the target that she had spent more than a year to achieve. Dominika knew that Marta couldn't get a big sum of $250,000, but she could make the director of the Russian Security Bureau pay the money to help Marta complete this deal. Marta was very curious why Dominika had to risk her life to complete the mission, so Dominika told her that she had seen the assassin under Ivan before. This should not be told to anyone. If it was revealed, Dominika would definitely be silenced. But her action indirectly harmed Marta's life. After this storm, Dominika went to the train station to buy a ticket to Vienna. Then she went to the door of a local bank. Looking through the glass door, Dominika targeted a young male employee who looked quite inexperienced as her prey. When the bank closed, Dominika pretended to rush to register a new account, and the person in charge of locking the door was the male employee she had targeted. When a pitiful beauty invited him to have coffee and fill in the account registration information, the socially inexperienced employee agreed. On the other side, Marta went to find the station chief of the intelligence station. Still holding a grudge, she revealed Dominika's weakness to him. That night, Dominika returned to her place in Budapest and didn't see Marta in the room. The bathroom door was ajar, and it turned out that the assassin who had killed the tycoon Dmitri had come here. Marta had been brutally killed. He spared Dominika's life because she was Ivan's granddaughter. But he also warned Dominika that if anyone else knew that he had killed Dmitri, the next person in the bathtub would be her. After the local police investigated, they found no useful information, so Dominika was released. The person standing at the police station door to pick her up was Nash. It turned out that he had received a report from his teammates these days. The important news he received this time was that Dominika was a Sparrow spy secretly trained by Russia. He directly confronted Dominika, comparing the differences in the intelligence structures between Russia and the US, and condemning the ruthless and heartless aspects of the Russian Security Bureau towards its own people. Nash hoped that he could make Dominika switch sides and join the CIA to serve them. Nash assured her that he would protect her as he had protected his informant. Dominika was a little swayed by that statement and finally agreed to work for the CIA. So Nash took her to the CIA's safe house in Budapest. Here, 2 CIA executives were waiting for her. For safety reasons, they put a lie detector on Dominika and asked her many questions to determine if she really wanted to join the US government. But this type of test was ineffective for a well-trained spy. After the test, Dominika also made her own conditions. She needed the CIA to transfer $30,000 to her account in Vienna every month. The CIA felt that Dominika was a bit greedy, and she dared to arrogantly ask for money without bringing any valuable intelligence. So Dominika told them about the US Senate Chief of Staff wanting to sell missiles. This news directly shocked all the members in the room. They didn't dare to underestimate this Russian female spy. On the day of the deal, Dominika went to the designated hotel in London. In the room, $250,000 prepared by the Russian security agency was placed, and in the secret compartment in the desk, there was also a fake diskette from the CIA. Dominika went down to the hotel bar to wait for the chief of staff to appear. Unexpectedly, the intelligence station chief Maxim came here. It turned out that he was worried about the deal and deliberately came here to help. But Dominika knew that this was actually an informant sent by Ivan. Dominika saw Maxim and angrily chased him into the room. A moment later, the chief of staff Stephanie arrived. Dominika went to sit next to her first and introduced herself as the dealer today. Stephanie, seeing that it wasn't Marta, became wary and was about to leave the hotel. But Dominika had thoroughly investigated her opponent. She knew that Stephanie was in dire need of money, so she persuaded Stephanie to go to the transaction room with her. Seeing a bag full of money, Stephanie was no longer wary. She gave Dominika the diskette containing the missile information. When Dominika went to open the secret compartment under the desk, she started to swap the diskettes. But the operation time was a bit long, which made Maxim suspicious. The CIA employee who was still observing in the next room couldn't sit still anymore, so she rushed over to ring the doorbell of Dominika's room, thus luring Maxim out to open the door, pretending to be a hotel manager asking for customer reviews. Thanks to this, Dominika had more time to act. Finally, she successfully pulled off the switch. Dominika had completed the deal with Stephanie, and before leaving, she told her to leave in an hour. But as soon as Dominika left, Stephanie immediately took the bag of money and left the hotel. While waiting for the traffic light, she lit a cigarette and accidentally noticed that both sides had CIA agents following her. Stephanie panicked and threw the bag of money into the trash. Then she staggered across the street, unexpectedly being hit by a truck and killed. This unexpected situation was also seen by the Russian security agency personnel at the hotel door. He hurriedly called back to report. Maxim received the call and immediately told the driver to go straight to the airport. He told Dominika that the director of the Russian security agency wanted to congratulate them, so he decided to fly back to Moscow immediately. Then he asked for Dominika's diskette and passport. She realized the danger signal, but at this time she could only pretend to be calm. At the same time, Nash had obtained the diskette from the hotel and was about to leave when he received a call from his superiors. Hearing about Stephanie being hit by a car and killed, Nash knew that this situation would definitely affect Dominika's life. He hurriedly drove to the airport, hoping to save her. He caught up with Dominika, who was queuing to enter the waiting area. Dominika turned around and saw Nash, but she shook her head at him, signaling him not to act rashly. Nash could only be completely powerless because he knew that Dominika's trip was likely to be dangerous. Returning to the Russian security headquarters, an interrogator asked Dominika if she had leaked information to the Americans. Dominika, of course, would never admit it even if she was beaten to death. Seeing her stubbornness, Ivan called to directly order to use torture on his granddaughter. Dominika was stripped naked and locked in a cell. Cold water continuously poured over her. Then she was taken to the interrogation room again. The question remained the same, but Dominika still didn't admit it. This time, she had to endure extremely painful beatings. Then they showed Dominika a video, and Maxim, who came back with her, had been executed. The interrogator pulled out a gun behind her and asked the question one last time. But Dominika still didn't admit it. The trigger was pulled, but the gun had no bullets. At this moment, Ivan appeared in front of Dominika and told her to tell the truth. But Dominika said everything she did was to complete the mission. She did it just to gain the trust of the Americans and finally get the informant's information. Ivan couldn't refute it. A sparrow doing anything to complete the mission was normal. Seeing his pitiful niece, Ivan gradually softened. So Dominika was temporarily released. When Ivan reported the situation to the director, both the director and the headmaster felt that Dominika was deceiving Ivan. This put pressure on Ivan, and he said that if he found evidence of Dominika's betrayal, he would definitely eliminate her himself. At this time, Dominika returned to Budapest and went back to Nash's side. She knew that Nash would not reveal the informant's name, so in the end, she would definitely die. Dominika wanted to think of being protected and asked for more money. She wanted the $250,000 to be transferred to her account in Vienna. Nash agreed to all her requests. In the end, Nash was defeated by this Russian girl in front of him. So what had to come finally came. When Dominika woke up in bed, Nash was nowhere to be seen. When she opened the kitchen door, she saw the assassin strangling Nash with a wire. Dominika immediately understood the situation, so she went to cooperate with the assassin to tie Nash's hands. The assassin temporarily loosened the wire but took out a bag of skinning tools, which were specialized tools for replacing skin for burn patients in hospitals. He wanted to torture Nash slowly until he revealed the informant's name. Dominika looked emotionlessly at the assassin torturing Nash, and she even helped the assassin hold him down. Seeing that Nash refused to say anything, Dominika asked the assassin to give her the tool. Then she took advantage of the assassin's inattention and suddenly attacked him. It turned out that she had been pretending to cooperate to wait for an opportunity to save Nash. At this moment, the assassin woke up and attacked the two with a sharp knife. Both of them didn't wait to die but counterattacked. Dominika took the opportunity to cut the assassin's tendons, and he fell to the floor, unable to stand up. Seeing this, she rushed over to take his life. When Dominika woke up, she was in a hospital bed. Her health was no longer a concern, but the most headache-inducing problem now was what to do next. The assassin's death proved that she had definitely betrayed them. At this moment, the headmaster suddenly appeared in front of her. Dominika thought he was here to kill her, but he told her that he was the informant. His wife had cancer, but the Russian government didn't allow an American doctor to operate on her, causing his wife to leave him very early. This was the reason why he betrayed them, but he was tired of doing it. He saw that Dominika had the potential to take over his job, so he suggested that she expose him. That way, Dominika could continue to live, and she could replace him and continue to work for the CIA. Thanks to this big turning point, Dominika started to act. First, she turned herself into the Budapest police, admitting that she had killed the assassin, and she asked to meet the Russian embassy. When she met the people of the embassy, Dominika asked to call the director of the Russian security agency. She wanted to directly report the name of the internal target and use this information to exchange for her life. Dominika reported the name of the mole to the director over the phone. At the same time, the headmaster returned home and didn't lock the door. He just sat on the sofa, quietly waiting for someone to arrest him. Dominika was taken to the airport by the police. The CIA had been waiting here for a long time, and Nash quietly looked at her with disappointment in his eyes. This woman had finally completed her mission. At this moment, a Russian helicopter flew over, and they brought the spy. When Nash asked the Russian side to remove the hood to identify the identity, unexpectedly, the person brought was not the headmaster but Ivan. At this time, Nash knew that Dominika had deceived them, but at this time, Nash couldn't expose the truth. They confirmed that it was the target they wanted to exchange. It turned out that the name that Dominika had revealed to the director was not the headmaster, but her uncle Ivan. After the director sent people to investigate, they found a used wine glass at Ivan's house. In addition, they also found that Ivan had a secret account in Vienna. The Americans had transferred $250,000 to it, and the encrypted information in the diskette that Ivan collected from Dominika was also from Vienna. A series of evidence left Ivan with no way out. At this time, Ivan said his last words in Dominika's ear, then he continued to walk towards the Americans. But Russia couldn't let a traitor leave safely. They had long been ambushed to shoot Ivan in the head. Dominika was also taken back to Russia, and she became a new generation of patriotic hero. The headmaster also sat below and applauded her with satisfaction. Just like that, Dominika replaced her uncle to become the director of the Russian Security Bureau. At the same time, she also became the top double-layered Sparrow spy, continuing to play between Russia and the US. For survival, she had to continue this game.